I'm in the new Suzuki Swift Sport, and I bet you want to know whether it offers the same kind of cheap thrills as its predecessor. Now this one has a turbocharged engine, the last one had a naturally aspirated engine. Does that matter? Well, we're going to find out in this review, but before we do, click the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on so that you're alerted when we make a new upload. The Sport gets some visual upgrades over the standard Swift to make it look more aggressive. Now at the front you've got a honeycomb effect grille, deeper front bumper and a splitter which appears, oh my god, to be made out of carbon fibre. Though of course it's not, is it? It's fake, it's actually just plastic. Though it does do a better job of faking it than the fake carbon fibre trim you get on the more expensive Honda Civic Type R. Speaking of which, as standard on this car you get LED headlights. I'll speak more about the kit list later on in the video. There's also 17-inch alloy wheels. You get uprated brakes over the standard Swift and of course sport suspension. Down the side you've got some more fake carbon fibre in these side skirts, help it make it look like it's hugging the ground. At the back, the obligatory spoiler that you should have on a hot hatch, a little bit of sport badging there in red to let you know that this is the hot version of the car. And at the back you've got some more fake carbon fibre here, and of course those twin exhaust pipes. They're chrome tipped and they are real, which is good news. Anyway, I want you to tell me what you think about this car styling. Do you think it looks better than a VW Up GTI? Click on the pop-out button in the top right-hand corner of the screen to cast your vote. I want to know what you think. There are a few things I really like about this car's cabin. For instance, the leather sport steering wheel is really nice. I like the way that it's got this gloss effect here and it's flat bottomed. The gear lever's good too. And there's this reddy black trim about the place and red effect on the dials and red stitching everywhere actually. That's all cool. What's not so cool though are the plastic materials because they're just cheap and nasty. Now, I could forgive that if this car was £14,000 like the old Suzuki Swift Sport, but no it's not. It's £18,000. That's right, £18,000. Now make sure you click on the pop-out bar in the top right-hand corner of the screen to see how much you can save on a Suzuki Swift Sport, because, yeah, it's gone up in price.
Part of the reason for this is the fact that the new 1.4 litre turbocharged engine is more expensive to make. So, is it worth it?
This engine produces 140 horsepower. Now that's just 5 horsepower more than the old 1.6 litre naturally aspirated engine of the old Suzuki Swift Sport. However, that does not tell the whole story. You see, this engine has 230 newton meters of torque, which is almost 40% more pulling power than the old engine. Plus peak torque comes in at 2,500 RPM in this, whereas in the old car it was up at 4,500 RPM. Now that meant you had to rev the nuts off it for it to do anything, whereas this, as long as it's on boost, which it usually is, it will fling you out of a corner. Now there's actually no point revving it past 5,500 RPM because it soon runs out of puff. And you might be thinking, well, that means that this car's no fun. The old one, the best thing about it was wringing its neck. But that's not true. And that's not true because, well, it's just more flexible. It's easier to drive. In fact, you stick this thing into third gear on a road like this and it's just perfect. It's just got the right amount of performance to put a smile on your face. Woo!
In fact, the new Swift Sport feels quicker than its mediocre 0 to 60 time of 8 seconds suggests. But there's another benefit to the new engine too, improved efficiency.
I suppose in the interest of consumer journalism, I should tell you what kind of economy this car's doing. So it's supposed to do 50 mpg and I'm getting 29 miles per gallon, which doesn't sound that good, but when you consider I've basically been thrashing this car non-stop, it's actually pretty good.
However, there are a few things which aren't so great about the new Swift Sport. Here's Vive.
This car's supposed to have a sports exhaust, but it doesn't really sound very sporty. Yeah, you want to hear it, don't you, revving, so just bear with me because it's just me and the cameraman. So, I'm going to have to do it from here. Yeah, it's a bit pathetic really, isn't it? I quite like these sports seats, but the side bolsters on the seat base are just a little bit too tight and gets a touch annoying after a while. And it's not as though I've got a particularly big bum either. Come on, I haven't. Hot hatches are supposed to be aggressive, so their horn should make a sound to make you want to get out of the way. But this one is a bit like it's just saying hello to you. Listen to this. The boot, well, it's okay-ish, though it's not really that much bigger than a Volkswagen Ups. Bit disappointing, really. Unlike the old Suzuki Swift Sport, which is available as a sporty looking 3-door, this one is only available as a 4-door, though they have tried to disguise the rear door handles by putting them up there. But it's not a very convincing disguise.
Thankfully, it's not all bad. Here's 5 cool things about the Swift Sport.
The car has a little driving computer and it includes a G meter. It will show the torque and power from the engine. It can show your acceleration and your braking, and it also shows how much boost the turbo is producing. The throw of the gear shift is actually 10% shorter than on the old Suzuki Swift Sport. Snickety. Blimey. I'm really quite surprised just how much room there is back here. It's rather comfortable. This car has so much standard kit, so this is the list here. I mean, there's just too much to mention really. But stuff like auto emergency braking, reversing camera, you get satellite navigation, you've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I mean, everything is standard. Even metallic paint comes as standard. This new Suzuki Swift Sport weighs just 975 kilos, which means it's actually lighter than the old Suzuki Swift Sport. But let's just say, come on. Nah, still can't lift it.
Now, this reduced weight matters, as it should deliver impressive handling and braking. But has it worked?
Yes, it has. So this feels like a nimble little car, and you can really chuck it about and have quite a bit of fun in it actually. It just seems to just go exactly where you point it. Now, you get that great sensation of knowing what's going on beneath you through your bottom. You don't get so much feeling through the steering. It does have a certain weight to it that makes it feel sporty, but it doesn't give you full information of how much grip there is over the front wheels. But you can rest assured there is plenty, because you can just pitch it into a corner and it seems to go round. And the best thing about it is that you can absolutely nail it, or at least feel like you're nailing it. And you look down at the speedo and realise that actually you're not going all that fast, which is a good thing if you want to keep your licence. And because it's light, you've got good brakes, so when you go to a corner a bit too quickly and think, oh no, you can really stamp on them and it'll slow the car down just enough to get you around. I'm enjoying this. I'm not sure if my cameraman is though. How you feeling, Brad? Feeling sick yet?
A little bit, yeah.
Now, sometimes when you go for a drive at the weekend in your hot hatch, you end up on a road such as this, and, well, sometimes they can just get bounced about all over the place when the surface is as awful as it is here. And I am being bounced about, but it's not so terrible. The suspension is still managing to keep the wheels in contact with the floor, which is what you need, because when you're in the air, you have no grip at all and no control.
The little Swift Sport is less of a pain to live with every day than the old version, and it even gets some big car tech.
It's quite interesting that such a small car has automatic cruise control as standard, so it's using a radar to keep a safe distance from the car in front, and I of course can choose what the distance is. I've got the car set to 60 miles an hour, and I've also got lane keeping assist, so it should steer me to keep me in lane. So this is a bit of a bend. Let's take my hand off, see what happens. Yeah, it does steer. It's not the best system, and it's complaining because my hands are on the steering wheel. And I'm going to see what happens if I don't put them back on, because this is important. So what's happening? It's beeping at me, and now, look at that. It's letting me just veer, and I could just, yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like that it did that. Now, some systems, if you don't respond, will actually just slow you down in lane, or even pull over to the side of the road. This one just, God, you're on your own. It's not great.
But then you don't buy a car like this as a commuter tool. And that brings me on to my final verdict.
I really like this car. I think it's a whole heap of fun, and it's definitely better than the old Suzuki Swift Sport. The only thing that's not so good is the price. At £18,000, it's just a little bit expensive. Maybe Suzuki should have ditched some of the extra kit to help keep the price down. Either way, it's a good, fun little hot hatch. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it. Click on the logo below to subscribe to this channel, on the video window for more content, or on the deals box to the right of me to go to CarWow to see how much you can save on a new car, such as this one, or anyone for that matter.